All right, folks, I'm Logan Alec, and I have a breaking piece of stimulus news for you. Just today, Mitch McConnell was asked about the potential of another round of stimulus checks in the next COVID relief bill, and here's what he had to say.
Senator, do you anticipate the next rescue package having any individual funding going to people like the previous $1,200 and to families? Will there be something like that?
Could well. I think the people who've been hit the hardest are people who make about $40,000 a year or less. Many of them worse in the hospitality industry. The hospitality industry, as all of you know, just got rim-racked. Hotels, restaurants, and so that could well be a part of it.
Now remember, folks, Mitch McConnell is the chief Senate Republican, and Senate Republicans are the group of people who are thought to be the biggest roadblock to another round of stimulus checks getting through, okay? And here's Mitch McConnell directly being asked about more stimulus checks, and what does he say? He says there could well be more stimulus checks, but then what's the interesting thing? The interesting thing is, right after he says that, his mind makes a beeline to those who are hit the hardest, which in his mind are those who make $40,000 or less, specifically those who are in industries like the hospitality industry. So what do we make of this, right? Mitch, what's on your mind as you're answering this question? Do you have in mind something like a more targeted stimulus payment to those who make $40,000 a year or less, employed in certain industries? What about those who make $40,000 or less but are not employed, such as those on Social Security, such as those who are on SSI? What about those groups? Are those on your mind here too, Mitch, or is it just those who are in the workforce who make $40,000 a year or less? I don't know. He wasn't really pressed on this question afterwards. I really wished that someone had pressed him more to elaborate a bit more about what is on his mind, because remember, Mitch McConnell, as we know, is Mr. Targeted. In response to the HEROES Act, which he called a parade of absurdities, he said the next coronavirus relief bill, it needs to be more targeted, right? Maybe he's thinking about targeted stimulus payments here. Keep in mind that this contrasts with what Steven Mnuchin, Secretary of the Treasury, said when asked if the next round of stimulus checks, if there is another round, would be more targeted. His response to that question seemed to imply that it would not be more targeted. He said the beauty of stimulus checks is that it's a way to get money to everybody all at once, right? That's what he said. However, McConnell might have something a little bit more targeted on the brain. It is, of course, possible that he may just have in mind here some kind of back to work bonus for those who make $40,000 or less, and maybe even just for those who make $40,000 or less in certain industries. I'm not exactly sure, right? But nevertheless, I think this is a good sign that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, right, who, if anybody would be opposed to another round of stimulus checks, it would probably be him, answered the question about more stimulus checks at least somewhat in the affirmative, right? He's saying, well, there could well be, okay? So I don't want to read too much into this, but it seems that perhaps the Republican senator's perspective on another round of stimulus checks is maybe getting a bit more beneficial to the people. I don't know, right? We won't know anything for sure, okay, until negotiations actually start between the House of the Congress, between the White House and Congress later this month, okay? So don't let anyone publish a video today saying that next round of stimulus checks is confirmed just because Mitch McConnell said this, okay? All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for letting me keep you updated with stimulus news. If you haven't done so already, please consider clicking the thumbs up button below. That helps with the YouTube algorithm, so videos like this get promoted over the clickbait that you know I detest so much. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, consider clicking my face right up here. Press that button. That'll subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any stimulus updates. All right, folks, thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.